Hey everyone, welcome back to the Dinar Daily. We are tracking a developing story that has captured the attention of international financial observers, focusing entirely on the Iraqi dinar. Reports are circulating widely today about what is being described as a monumental shift in the currency's behavior on the global stage. After a prolonged period of relative stability and minimal movement, the dinar is now the subject of intense discussion following a series of events that have unfolded with remarkable speed. This isn't the familiar narrative of minor fluctuations. The information emerging points to a development so significant that it has become the primary topic of conversation among those who follow Iraq's economy. The focus of these reports is a dramatic and sudden change in its perceived value. A story that is evolving in real time and drawing in observers from every corner of the financial world. The central detail in all these reports concerns the dinar's performance on the foreign exchange market, commonly known as Forex. According to various platform data points and market commentaries, the IQD has reportedly experienced a surge in activity, leading to value points that have not been seen in its recent history. This isn't a minor adjustment, but is being characterized as a powerful and decisive move that has left many seasoned market watchers surprised. The velocity of this reported change is a key part of the story, with sources indicating that the shift occurred so rapidly that it caught even the most prepared analysts off guard. This event has effectively shattered the long-held perception of the dinar as a static or dormant asset, forcing a complete reevaluation of its current status by the international community. This reported movement is significant not just for its speed, but for its strength. The dinar is said to have broken through critical technical barriers, known as resistance levels, which had effectively capped its value for more than a decade. These were price ceilings that the currency had approached in the past but never managed to overcome, creating a long-term, predictable trading range. The explosive nature of this breakout, as it's being called, suggests a fundamental change in market dynamics rather than a simple technical correction. Traders and market commentators are using strong language to describe the event, labeling it a wake-up call for the international market. The entire narrative that had been built around the dinar's immobility has, according to these accounts, been completely inverted almost overnight by this single, powerful development. To fully appreciate the gravity of these reports, it's essential to consider the historical context. For many years, the Iraqi dinar was locked in a very tight, unmoving range, often described by analysts as being practically frozen. Its value was heavily influenced by Iraq's reliance on oil revenues, which are traditionally denominated in U.S. dollars, and the nation's broader foreign trade policies. For the better part of the last decade, the currency exhibited almost no volatility, existing in a state that many compared to hibernation. This long period of stagnation is precisely why the current reports of a sudden, explosive surge are being met with such astonishment. The contrast between the dinar's long-term stillness and this new dynamic activity is at the heart of the entire story, marking a definitive break from its recent past. What we are witnessing, according to financial commentators, is a moment that feels almost surreal for those who have followed the dinar's journey for years. Many individuals have tracked Iraq's economic progress, holding on to hope for years while navigating widespread doubt and skepticism. This sudden shift, unfolding within a single global trading week, is being interpreted by many as a potential validation of their long-held beliefs. It's being described as a full-scale economic awakening, where the currency's performance is finally beginning to reflect the underlying changes within Iraq's economy. This shift in perception is palpable, as a topic once confined to niche forums is now commanding the attention of the broader international financial community, signaling a potentially new era for the currency. Naturally, the most pressing question is what exactly triggered such a massive surge. Analysts are pointing not to a single event, but to a convergence of several key factors that came together like pieces of a complex financial puzzle. The most powerful of these, according to reports, has been a quiet but strategically significant policy shift by Iraq's central bank. Over the past several months, information indicates that Iraq has initiated a process to reduce its dependency on the U.S. dollar for trade. This involves a deliberate move to conduct more international transactions, especially for its critical energy exports like oil, directly in its own national currency, the dinar. While this move did not generate major headlines at the time, it is now seen as the foundational work for a currency revolution. This policy shift by the central bank is critical because it fundamentally alters the supply and demand dynamics for the dinar on a global scale. When a major oil exporting nation begins to demand its own currency in exchange for its primary export, it creates a new and powerful source of natural, organic demand from international trade partners. Previously, buyers would purchase Iraqi oil using U.S. dollars, largely bypassing the dinar. Now, if buyers are required to acquire dinars first, they must enter the foreign exchange market to do so. This creates a constant, structural demand for the currency that is based on real, world trade rather than just speculation. This, according to expert analysis, is precisely the dynamic that is beginning to unfold. The second major driving factor being cited is the remarkable growth in Iraq's foreign reserves. Billions of dollars have steadily flowed into the nation's treasury, propelled by robust energy sales at favorable prices, a significant expansion of trade, major reconstruction projects, and new economic partnerships. Reports highlight deepening financial ties with nations such as China, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates, which have diversified Iraq's economic relationships. As a result, these foreign reserves are now reported to be at record highs. This accumulation of wealth is not just a number on a balance sheet. It represents a powerful tool for the Iraqi central bank, giving it immense power to support and stabilize its own currency. The significance of these record high reserves cannot be overstated. It provides a solid backing for the dinar's value, transforming the current surge from what could be dismissed as a shaky, speculative rise into a move backed by tangible, solid national wealth. With such a substantial financial cushion, Iraq's central bank now possesses both the confidence and the necessary tools to sustain a higher valuation for the dinar. This allows it to intervene in markets if needed, smoothing out volatility and defending the currency's new position. From an economic perspective, having this level of financial firepower is a complete game changer, providing a foundation of stability that was previously absent and signaling to the world that Iraq has the means to manage its own monetary destiny. The third reason contributing to this historic rise is rooted in the technical infrastructure of the global trading system itself. Over the past year, subtle but important changes have been occurring behind the scenes. These updates, which were largely invisible to the public, involved the implementation of new data pipelines, advanced banking communication systems, and sophisticated interbank rate synchronization tools. These systems were reportedly being tested and updated to better connect Iraq's financial sector with the rest of the world. Now, for the first time, those quiet technical adjustments are bearing fruit and becoming visible in live trading sessions. What observers are seeing on the Forex charts is not a rumor, but the digital footprint of a market that is finally aligning with Iraq's true financial position. Let's delve deeper into what this activity looks like on the Forex market. Multiple trading platforms and data providers have reported that the dinar didn't just move slightly. It spiked, breaking through multiple layers of resistance that had held it in a static pattern for years. The trading volume for the IQD against the U.S. dollar has reportedly skyrocketed, indicating a massive influx of interest and capital. This surge in volume is crucial, as it confirms that the price movement is backed by significant market participation. It dismisses the possibility of this being a thin market of anomaly where a few small trades could cause a large price swing. Instead, it points to a broad-based and substantial shift in market sentiment. Furthermore, reports indicate that this trading volume is not just coming from small-time retail investors. Market data is said to show large institutional players actively stepping in to buy positions. This includes major hedge funds, large regional banks, and established international investment groups. These are typically cautious, data-driven players who do not make decisions lightly. Their reported participation is a powerful signal. It suggests they are seeing what long-term dinar watchers have hoped for: a real, measurable, and sustainable correction in Iraq's currency value. This institutional buy-in adds a significant layer of legitimacy to the movement, as these entities are now positioning themselves for a newly revalued Iraqi currency. The reason for this sudden institutional interest is linked directly to a fundamental change in the perception of Iraq's economy. For many years, the nation was viewed through the lens of its past, often pictured as a fragile, war-torn state with an unstable economy. However, according to economic analysts, Iraq has quietly transformed itself. It is no longer the nation it was a decade ago. It is now being described by economists as a rising regional powerhouse, driven by immense oil exports, significant improvements in national infrastructure, and a steady inflow of new foreign investment. The dinar's movement is not being seen as a stroke of luck, but as a moment of recognition. This narrative suggests that the world is finally realizing that Iraq's currency may have been undervalued for a significant amount of time. The explosive surge on the Forex market is being interpreted as the international community's formal acknowledgement of Iraq's true market strength and economic progress. This isn't just about currency rates. It's about a complete recalibration of Iraq's standing in the global financial system. The new economic realities on the ground, stabilized governance, massive reserves, and modernized infrastructure, are now being reflected in the valuation of its national currency, bringing the two into long overdue alignment. Now, let's address the specific numbers being discussed. While the situation is fluid, reports are consistently showing that the dinar reached its highest trading value in modern history during this week's sessions. The rate is said to have climbed so sharply that it broke through several key psychological price levels, barriers that many analysts had previously deemed impossible to cross. Some intraday trading platforms reportedly registered values that have never been recorded before. This data is being used to confirm that the event is not a simple technical glitch or a data error, but rather a confirmed and sustained breakout. Financial experts who are now analyzing this event are reportedly calling this the beginning of the long-expected revaluation phase. They note that once a currency breaks through such a long-term and significant resistance zone, it rarely, if ever, goes back to its old levels. Instead, the typical pattern is for the currency to find a new, higher baseline and stabilize there. This is exactly the behavior that is reportedly happening now. The dinar is not just spiking and crashing. It is breaking out and then consolidating at these new, higher levels, suggesting a permanent shift in its valuation. This development also brings into focus something much bigger than just numbers on a trading screen. It is being seen as a symbol of Iraq's return to financial independence. For many years, the nation's economy was intrinsically tied to outside influences and a heavy dependency on foreign currency for its own domestic and international operations. This surge in the dinar's value, driven by its own exports and backed by its own reserves, represents a powerful moment of Iraq reclaiming control of its own economic value. This kind of transformation has implications that go far beyond financial traders. It touches upon national pride, confidence, and identity. The dinar's rise is reportedly becoming a symbol of progress for millions of Iraqis who are watching their country begin to stand tall on the world stage once again. After decades of hardship and economic subordination, the ability to have a strong, internationally respected currency is a powerful psychological boost. It signifies that the years of rebuilding, stabilization, and steady reform are finally yielding tangible, world-altering results. This narrative of national resurgence is a key component of the story, highlighting the deep-seated cultural and emotional significance of this financial event. Far removed from the cold calculations of a trading floor, as one would expect, social media platforms have absolutely exploded with activity related to this news. Dinar holders and market observers from around the globe are sharing screenshots of trading charts, posting live updates, and expressing their excitement, disbelief, and joy. The online communities that have followed this topic for years are now buzzing with activity, with many users describing a profound sense of vindication. Others are calling it destiny, a moment they always knew would come. The truth, as reflected in these posts, appears to be a powerful mix of hope, patience, and timing, finally paying off for those who followed the story. After enduring years of skepticism, false starts, and sometimes even ridicule, the individuals who held a belief in Iraq's economic recovery are now watching that patience turn into what appears to be tangible proof. The global attention now focused on Iraq as a result of this is massive, and it is only growing by the hour. This social media amplification is feeding back into the mainstream narrative, forcing financial news outlets and analysts who had previously dismissed the topic to take it seriously. It's a rare moment where a grassroots community's belief seems to be converging with a real, world-data-driven financial event. This brings us to the next critical piece of the puzzle, the banks. According to reports, the activity is not just confined to Forex markets. Large financial institutions like Chase, Wells Fargo, and HSBC have reportedly begun updating their internal foreign exchange systems. Dinar screens and rate trackers, which for years were either inactive, blank, or showed only a static placeholder rate, are now allegedly showing real-time updates. These screens are said to be refreshing with live data, treating the dinar like any other major global currency. This is being interpreted as a massive signal that these institutions are acknowledging the new reality. The information suggests this goes beyond just updating a screen. Exchange departments within these banks are reportedly being briefed on the new status of the Iraqi dinar and are being prepared for a potential influx of customer inquiries. In short, the narrative is that the banks know what is happening and are quietly preparing for it. This is a crucial distinction as it separates the global interbank Forex market from the public-facing retail side of banking. The reported internal preparations are seen as the first step toward a broader public rollout, where these new rates will be made available to customers. However, a critical clarification is being made. While Forex markets are reflecting these new values, it does not mean that individuals can walk into their local bank branch today and exchange currency at these rates. That part, it is said, has not happened yet. The process is complex and layered. The Forex market, which operates 24/7, always reflects global trading sentiment first. Banks, on the other hand, must follow a much more rigid and cautious process. They must verify, synchronize, and formally activate these new rates within their own internal compliance and treasury systems before they can offer them to the public. This rollout, according to financial insiders, is expected to happen in distinct stages. It will likely begin with the major Tier 1 banks, which deal directly on the global market. Once their systems are fully active and stable, the new rates and procedures will then be passed down to regional banks and finally to local branches. Therefore, if a local bank branch does not see the new rate yet, It is not a cause for panic. It is simply part of a deliberate and methodical activation process. The most important takeaway from these reports is that the financial world appears to be inside that activation window right now. In light of these developments, discussions have emerged regarding preparedness. The advice circulating among observer communities centers on organization and caution. Commentators are stressing the importance of individuals keeping their documentation in order, such as identification, passports, proof of address, and especially any receipts from their original dinar purchases. This advice is coupled with strong warnings to avoid non-traditional or private deals, as periods of high excitement can also attract scams. The consensus message being shared is one of patience, urging people to wait for official, legitimate channels to become fully operational rather than acting on emotion. This counsel is framed as a way to navigate the final stretch of a long-awaited process safely and effectively. Looking at the global economic response, financial analysts from around the world are reportedly acknowledging that Iraq's move was not a coincidence, but the result of deliberate long-term planning. They are pointing to the Iraqi government's successful efforts to stabilize oil exports, improve fiscal discipline, and fundamentally modernize its central banking systems. Iraq has, by all accounts, built a new digital infrastructure that is capable of supporting global trading and a higher level of financial transparency. In other words, the current narrative is that Iraq is not reacting to global events, it is leading its own economic transformation. This dinar surge is being framed as part of a much bigger vision: the restoration of Iraq's rightful economic position in the Middle East and on the global stage. Even mainstream economists, who may have once called this entire scenario a myth or an impossibility, are now reportedly rethinking their stance. They are pointing to the solid data, the high reserves, the new international partnerships, the stable governance, and the modernized banking sector. These are seen as the undeniable foundations behind this dramatic rise. It is a rare moment in finance where reality, data, and long-held belief are all finally converging and pointing in the same direction. Analysts also believe that this current Forex breakout is only phase one of a broader revaluation rollout. The international markets are the first to adjust, as they are the most fluid. The next phase, which is now the focus of intense anticipation, is the full banking sector activation, which includes public exchange readiness. This gradual, two-step process is described as being by design, intended to prevent systemic shocks and maintain stability. By allowing the market to find its price first, it gives the banks a clear, stable rate to lock onto. According to the latest data being analyzed, there is speculation that this second phase could arrive in a matter of days, not months. Meanwhile, inside Iraq, the central bank is reportedly not slowing down. In parallel with these market events, it has announced further modernization programs, ambitious digital banking plans, and new systems designed to improve both local and international transactions. Iraq is actively embracing technology, launching electronic payment systems, and passing reforms to invite and protect more foreign investors. All of these concurrent actions add credibility and long-term strength to the dinar. The goal is clear: stability, transparency, and continued growth. This isn't a temporary spike. It's the result of years of steady, foundational rebuilding. So, let's recap the key points of this entire developing story. The Iraqi dinar has reportedly hit record highs on the global Forex market. This surge is being attributed to a new policy by Iraq to use its own currency for major exports, which has created a massive new source of global demand. Major international banks are reportedly updating their internal systems in response, preparing for customer-level exchanges. Financial experts are now in agreement that this movement is not baseless speculation, but a reflection of Iraq's true, improved market value, backed by a strong economy, full reserves, and a leadership focused on a modern future. Here is the bottom line based on all the information we are tracking. After years and years of waiting, of watching, and of hoping, the Iraqi dinar has, by all accounts, finally and decisively stepped back onto the global stage. This is not just a financial event. It is being described as a historic moment for the nation of Iraq, for its people, and for every individual around the world who believed that this day would eventually come. The dinar is on the move, and according to every piece of data we are seeing, this time it is for real. This is history unfolding, and we will continue to track every new rate change and bank update as they happen.